It's Vic Jagger with Urban One on Magic 102.3 and 92.7. And I am here with Chuck Bishop, head of Wells Fargo Home Lending Diverse Segments. And it is time for Chuck's Corner. You know, I had to give you a little jingle. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm great. I'm happy to be here with you today.
Well, I am happy that you are here because we are talking about all things home buying. And as a home buyer myself in the process, I wish that I had someone to walk me through and just give me the information beforehand when I first bought my home. And so now I'm happy that you're here today because we're going to dig right into it. So what are some top tips that you can give us when planning for your big purchase?
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're buying, and I too wish someone had walked me through some of the nuances and some tips before I bought my first home. Buying a home is it's a journey. It's an experience. It is often the biggest purchase any of us will ever make.
Yeah.
What's also critically important is it's the beginning of the accumulation of wealth for many of us. It will be what could be the foundation of our small business. It could be the financer of our kids' college educations. It could be the step to the next home. So it's a number of things. So when you make this decision, it's not to be made lightly. It really requires that you do your homework and you really prepare for it. There's several things you need to do. One is, and it's hard to do, is take the emotion out of it.
Oh, yes. Now that was...
You can't.
Yeah.
Think about it. When you're buying this, you're dealing with two of the things that are most sensitive to you as a person. It's your money and your residence. And we often will bring this emotional laundry with us to this decision where we really have to make this more black and white. It needs to be about what's critical to you and separate your needs from your wants at times because, unfortunately, real estate in all of our markets that we're talking to is expensive. Yeah. And there are times where we've got to understand what's important to us in this home. Is it the fourth bedroom or is it the second car garage? Is it the finished basement or is it the patio?
Yes.
And oftentimes our first home's not necessarily our dream home, but it needs to be the home that we're comfortable and happy with. So what's important to you in that first home? And that's really where you kind of have to start that foundation of discussion with yourself and your professionals.
And I had to make a list. Okay. And it was like the pros and cons type of list. Now, if everything that I wanted, if I had majority of the things that I wanted, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not going to get a big backyard or maybe I'm not. Is it worth letting this go because of that? Because I'm emotionally attached to it? Or does it make sense? And so that's one of the things that, yes.
I love the list. I mean, we've got to be planful, right?
Yeah.
If we plan, we're not likely to fail because we've got a path. And I love to hear that you've done that. And I hope that the listeners are taking that as one of the pieces of advice behind this opportunity because when you go into this, you're going to consult a professional at some point in time, whether it's a housing counselor because you're not sure what you can do, whether it's a loan officer because you're ready to get pre-qualified, or whether it's a real estate agent because you've already done some of the financial work. You need to be prepared to talk to them about the things that are priority to you. And without that list, without that path of destination, where do you go?
Yeah. And then, so let's ease on into the mortgage process. You know, how does one qualify for a mortgage?
You know, that feels like it's the black box in the home buying process. People, what do I need? Do I have to have perfect credit? Do I have to have 20% down? You know, you need to, one, have some money. So let's demystify that. We see in commercials, buy with no money down. It's kind of hard to buy with no money down. You can buy with very little down. There are programs that often are as little as 3%, and at times that 3% can be a gift. Yeah. So there are ways to get in with limited funds, but you should have some money in the bank. You'll need to have money to write a check for the earnest deposit when you buy the home. You also need to have credit. You don't have to have perfect credit. Let's take that mystery away. You don't have to have an 800 credit score.
Right.
Often, though, our consumers don't know what their credit score is. And you know, most of us who have bank accounts have free credit scores available to us. And I suggest that people start to track your own credit score early. Understand what's there before you go into the home buying process because you don't want to have surprises in that space. Also, there are people who aren't big users of credit. And there are ways today where you can qualify for a mortgage using non-traditional credit. And that non-traditional credit is things like your car insurance payment, your cell phone payments, if you've got evidence of making a recurring payment to some other commitment that may not report into the credit agency, that can help. And if your landlord reports your rent, that's a big bonus. That's something that's really important to us to see that you are taking care of your shelter today on a timely basis.
And I love that you're saying that, because you're kind of building the foundation, right? Before you even think about, going to purchase a home, you need to start doing the work first, making sure you're paying your bills on time, making sure you are putting some funds away, because you never know what you would need that money for as well. But it will get you into the process of being a responsible homeowner, because trust and believe, once you get that home, there are going to be a lot of different expenses that maybe you're not prepared for. But building that foundation early is something that people should be aware of. So thank you for that. Now, how much house can I comfortably afford? Man, there are so many homes being built now, and a lot of people are like, I want the biggest, most modern, I want everything new, but it's like, have you looked at what you can afford yet? Have you looked at your finances? How does one go about doing it?
I always suggest to customers, consumers, to find your money first before you find the house.
I like that. Say it one more time.
Find your money before you find your home. And it's critical, because at some point when you in the home buying process, you'll have to make an offer. Acceptance of your offer will be contingent upon the strength of your contract. Mm-hmm. So let's find your money first. Get pre-approved. What does that mean? That means trying to understand exactly what you can afford. One of the things I think is really critical is there's a difference between what you can afford on paper and what you can afford by lifestyle. So a lender, a homebuyer counselor will walk you through the X's and O's of how to qualify on paper. They will understand what your debt ratios are, meaning how much of your income is being spent to cover your debt. But what they won't understand is what's your lifestyle. Do you go to MGM every Friday and drop $400 on the blackjack table or roulette or something? Or do you take vacations, every month? And those are things that won't get incorporated into your debt situation. But if you know that's who you are, don't fool yourself and say, I'm going to stop doing all of that when I buy my home. I've seen so many people think that was going to be the case. They're going to make these lifestyle changes that are drastic. Mm-hmm. And when they get to home, there's a feeling of euphoria. You want to celebrate. So you're more likely to go on vacation, take those other trips because you want to celebrate that success. And I would just say, know yourself, know your lifestyle. And if your lender tells you you can qualify for $2,000 a month, but you're struggling at $1,600 in your rent, maybe you don't go all the way to $2,000. Maybe take an $1,800 mortgage payment and save yourself a little bit of space for life's situations that happen, or the times you do want to splurge because you don't want to be house poor. That's been there. It's not fun.
It is not.
Trust me, it won't be
not
comfortable when your friends are doing something. You say, I can't afford it this weekend.
Yeah.
But the trade-off is you have your house, but you've got to be disciplined about it.
That's the number one thing that I love about my house. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay home and enjoy my mortgage.
How about that?
And one thing when you were saying this, one word came to me, and it was sacrifice. And it's me. I love shopping. I love going out and buying myself things. It just makes me feel good. But guess what? When I was preparing for my first home, I said, okay, I'm going to have to stop shopping. Yeah. I'm going to have to use that money. Just think about all the money that we spend on clothes and shoes, things like that. That adds up, and that could be going towards my house. And so sacrifice was a big thing that I had to reconcile with myself,
It's unfortunate, but I see a lot of people driving their mortgage.
Mm.
And it's no offense to anybody who's got, a phenomenal German car sitting in the parking lot of an apartment complex.
Yeah.
It's not a negative. It's your choice. However, what could I have done had I used that cash flow perhaps to add to my current rent to now afford a home and then buy the car later? Get the keys to your house before you get the keys to a car.
Yeah.
Let's understand which, cars is a wonderful thing. I have cars and I love my cars, but they're depreciating assets typically.
As soon as you drive them off the lot.
Absolutely. Our home is something that we trust will accumulate in value. Yeah. And if nothing else, it's yours at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And our kids can be raised in their home of their own. We can paint the walls whatever color we want to. We can dig a hole in the yard for no reason if we want to. It's ours.
It's ours. Yes.
Absolutely.
I love that. All right. So we talked about mortgages, and now let's talk about down payment. How much does one need for a down payment? Because like you said earlier, some people are like, oh my gosh, I have to save up all of this money for a down payment, and it varies. So can you explain that process?
Absolutely. There are a variety of mortgage programs out there. All have different types of down payment, and down payment also will depend on your current situation. As I mentioned earlier, there are some programs where you can get gifts for your down payment. We have a website, wellsfargo.com/mortgage education. You can go on that site and see a variety of programs, but more importantly, we also have a down payment assistance program. We understand that the path to home ownership has many impediments, and for far too many years, our country has had historical policies that have prohibited people of color from owning homes. We understand that and are rolling out programs today to address those challenges that have been in place. For instance, the down payment. So we have a $10,000 down payment that's available in 8 markets across the country today, and we're expanding before the end of the year into more markets because we understand that people need assistance with some of these things. The bigger your down payment, the lower your monthly payment will be. Housing prices are continue to rise throughout the country, and when rates rise with the home price rise, that hurts many people from qualifying. So thus, we created the down payment assistance program, the Homebuyer Access Grant it's called, to help customers qualify for homes. We also understand that part of that cash to close, outside of the down payment, is your closing costs. So in those same markets and throughout another 16 markets in the country, so it's a total of 24 markets, we've got a closing cost assistance program that will provide up to $5,000 for closing costs. So we're here in D.C. In this market, you can get $15,000 of free money through a grant from Wells to help your down payment and your closing costs, which oftentimes helps customers, get over the hurdle from a qualification perspective on a home they may not have qualified before in the past.
Yes, and let me tell you, it helps. It helps. So if you can get into the program and if you get more information about it and it's something that you think will be beneficial, you use it and pass it on to others as well to take advantage of that, because that is definitely a big plus and a big help. And we touched on credit scores a little bit, but let's go deeper into that. When it comes to credit scores, income qualifications, what does one need to qualify for a home?
Right. So, one, know your credit score. Don't be surprised at your credit score. Don't let the first time you find out you may have a credit issue is when you're looking to buy a home. You should know that beforehand. I highly suggest seeking out a nonprofit housing counseling agency in your market. HUD has on their website, HUD.gov, they have nonprofit counselors who are unbiased. They don't have any allegiance to a specific lender. They provide objective information that will help you understand where you are in your home buying journey. They will help you understand, do I have the income I need to buy a home? And if so, what type of home might I be able to buy? They will help you understand, do I have the credit? And they will also help you repair the credit if your credit is not there. Because, again, so many of us don't know what our credit is, or when we go into it, my first time I went in, I didn't realize I had a ding there and didn't know what to do about it. They can help you understand how to overcome that. And these aren't lifelong penalties. These are 60, 90-day penalties where we can get these things either erased or cured to a point where you are able to buy. So your credit score, one, you should know. If you have a credit score above 620, you're already in a place where most lenders will qualify you for a program. If you're below that, there are still programs that will work for you. You may have to come in with a little more down payment, or the rates could be a little different. But you don't know until you ask the question. And there are so many apps out there today. And while I don't dissuade anyone from using the technology that's available on our hips and in our pockets, I still think you need to talk to a professional. You need, at some point in time, you need to talk to a professional and get that one-on-one coaching that's necessary to help you walk through this journey, because it's scary.
Yes.
It's
very overwhelming. I think, you're making this so much easier for people to get into the home buying process, especially answering questions that they may have. But I know when you think about credit score, oh my gosh, down payment, oh my gosh, closing costs. As long as you have the information, it should be easy. I'm glad that you said the counselors that are there to help you and walk you through, because they kind of alleviate the stress of like, can I do this? Because it is a big commitment. And so you want to be prepared, you want to be ready, but you can't be ready unless you have the right information.
That's right. And you don't have to walk that journey alone. I mean,
Yeah.
there are professionals out there who are desirous to help, who are willing to help, who want to help.
Yes.
And again, I just think anybody who's thinking about owning a home, today is the time. Don't think about it today and then think about it next month. Think, if you think, act on it.
Yeah.
At least have the conversation with a nonprofit counselor. At least pull your own credit to understand your credit scores. Do something and put yourself, we were talking about planning earlier, put yourself on a schedule. If you think you want to be in a home next spring when the kids get out of school in May and you want to buy, then start working today. Don't wait until April and start, and also winter's not a bad time to buy. I was having a conversation earlier, and a lot of people think winter's not the time to move because they don't want to move around a holiday time or it's cold. Was maybe less competition also for the home you want, and you might find a better opportunity to buy that house. And while we're talking about this, I don't want to pivot just a little bit because I touched on earlier the concern over home prices and rates are a little higher. People think rates are really high today because and the Fed just moved this past week, so rates are probably down in the high fives now, 5.75 or so, and people think 5.75 or 6% is like a crazy rate. Our country's history is that rates are typically between 7 and 8%. So we were spoiled with a 2.5%, 3% rate for a couple of years, and we thought that was the norm. That's not the norm. But it's never a bad time to be a first-time home buyer.
Yes.
Never. And if you think that 6% is a bad interest rate, think about the 100% that you're paying in rent that goes to somebody else's benefit, not yours. So let's recoup some of that money and not give the 100% to the landlord, and let's only give 6% to the mortgage company and keep the rest for ourselves.
You took me back because I know quite a few people who are paying more than my mortgage for their apartments, and so now they're getting into that mode of buying. And like you said, winter is not a bad. I bought my house in November. I closed on in my house in November, and it was. I didn't care if I didn't have a couch in there. It was mine, and it was an accomplishment. And I celebrate that anniversary every year because it was something that I wanted to do. I put my mind to it, and I buckled down, sacrificed, and got it done. And the feeling when you get your keys,
isn't that something?
Oh my gosh, it is nothing like it.
Yeah.
And so, when planning for the purchase of a home, there are costs that come into play that many may not consider. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when you're buying a home, there will be a number of vendors and other professionals you'll pay along the way. There'll be title work, there'll be appraiser, there will be home inspections, perhaps. A couple things I'll mention. One is, try to get a home warranty when you buy the home. Try to get the seller to pay for it.
I was about to say, because
that's right. Make that. You can put that in the contract, and even if they don't,
Yeah.
most of them aren't that expensive. But I can't tell you how many times I've used mine in the years past, and I will tell you, I don't care what home you buy, there's going to be an appliance that breaks when you are least prepared to fix it.
My goodness.
The wash machine's going to go. The hot water heater is going to go. Even the garbage.
The garbage is supposed.
That's right.
It happened to me, and I'm gonna tell you, I had the person come out, and all he did was take a little tool and crank it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, now I know I can do it myself.
That's right. But if you have a home warranty, you're only paying a small deductible, $50 or $75 versus the $300 to replace the garbage
Exactly.
disposal.
And I was so happy that I did not. I had the warranty on it. So
And I'm glad you watched them fix it, too.
I did, because I need to know how to do it.
I'm over the shoulder of all my contractors. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? How do you do it?
Yes.
Because I want to know next time. Yeah,
That's
I get
right.
it.
Yeah.
But that home warranty is so expensive. But, as we're talking about expenses, the flip side of that is also savings. So as I talked about, there will be appliances that are likely to go in 3 to 5 years after owning a home. Something will happen. The home buying journey and the money you saved up until the time you purchased is just the beginning. The home buying journey, the journey itself, is a really short period of time. That's 60, 90 days, maybe 180. Depends on how long your personal journey is. But the ownership part, that's forever.
Yeah.
So save for the forever. We save for the purchase and then we stop. That's not
No.
it. We've got to continue to save. The discipline you created to buy the home is the same discipline you should keep after you buy the home, because there will be something that goes wrong, either a repair. And you have to, even if you have insurance to cover your roof, there's a deductible. That may be $2,500 to cover the $20,000 roof, but you've got to have the $2,500. Oh, what happens to the car if there's an issue with the transmission? I've got to have money for that. And then there are life's desires, vacations, etc. But you need to continue to save and put yourself on a post-purchase savings plan that allows you to continue to save and build wealth that way.
And it really is a great opportunity to build a budget. A budget was something that I had to have a house budget. Okay, I had to have an account where I knew I could go there if something, especially my townhome, my neighbors ended up having termites. Okay, so then my garage, I had to have somebody come out and do that. But guess what? I wasn't worried about it because I said I already have the money saved up to have somebody come out. So even like if you purchase a townhome where you're beside someone else, you never know what could happen. And so you want to be prepared in those times, because I couldn't even imagine if I didn't have the funds to do it. And, so you're always supposed to be prepared for that.
And that's one of those things you don't want to take for granted. When you have either a pest or a rodent kind of issue, there can be places
Never thought that it would
you
happen.
don't want to know, and they can cause damage you don't want to know.
That part, because I learned more about termites, and especially if you have a deck and if they get into the walls, and they were really explaining that, and I was like, wow, like being a homeowner is a big responsibility, but it is worth it. It is really worth it.
100%. What's so funny is you think about things we do, and I use my personal space often to kind of correlate the stories. So my daughter has probably heard me do this type of work all of her life. She just turned 21, and I've been with Wells 23 years, so she's heard this all of her life.
Yeah.
And I was telling her one day, I said, there's none of my kids don't like to hear me talk about the next phase of life. So, but it's real. We got to talk about it.
Yes.
So I said, if something happens to me, here's money, and this is yours. And this would be to cover your college if I'm not around or something happens you need it. And she goes, well, I might have to get student loans because that money's going to be for my house. And I said, oh, excuse me? She goes, I'm not using that money for anything other than my house, because she refuses to rent. Now, she's 21.
Wow.
And she's already decided that she's going to be a homeowner. And you know what?
Yeah.
I love that mentality.
Yeah.
I work with a nonprofit agency where a young man, Nick, graduated from college in May 2 years ago, settled on his home in August, and then pursued the journey of helping his parents buy their first home.
Yeah.
But that's the power of
That is
education.
it. Yes.
When we know better, we do better. When we take it upon ourselves to create a plan and path the way to get there,
Yeah.
good things can happen. And again, we just have to start someplace.
Definitely. And pass it down to our children. My son is in college now, and he made sure, he said, Ma, can I come back home until I can save up for a house? I'm like, well, where else? Yes, of course you can.
Well,
So
you're a better parent than me, because I told my daughter, nope, you're not coming back home. No, just kidding. It's not my plan, but if it has to happen, I guess we'll keep your room available.
As long as you're saving up,
absolutely.
and we know what the goal is, and you have the information to do it, especially because he's so young, and I'm like, let's get it started now. And
Yeah.
so where can people, our listeners, go to get more tips, more information about the home buying process, and any questions they may have?
I really encourage people to go to our website. It's wellsfargo.com/mortgage education. There's a phone number. It is 877-937-9357, where you can talk to a live loan officer if you just have questions you want to run by someone. But again, use the website. There's so many tools there. You can get pre-qualified. You can start your credit journey. You can understand what you might be able to afford. Yeah. It's again, I get excited about this, and I hope I'm not coming across as being disingenuous. I just love to talk about the home ownership opportunities, and I love for people who just want to learn. I talk to HBCU students regularly. and we visit college campuses because those are tomorrow's home buyers.
Yes,
We
that is
also
awesome.
talk
Get
to-
them
yeah,
early, because I'm gonna tell you,
absolutely.
when I was in college, they were pushing credit cards on
Credit
us.
cards,
They were,
absolutely.
and you know,
That's it.
you're getting out of college and your credit is a little, you know,
Yeah.
and so you're like, oh, wait a minute, I have to get things back around. So it's great that you guys are talking to college students about
Absolutely.
home ownership.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So go to our site, call our loan officers. We're here to help. We've got programs for down payment assistance as well as closing cost assistance that were created to make the home buying journey more affordable for you all. So this is a really good conversation.
Yes, and thank you guys for everything that you're doing, because everything that you listed off, where you can go and look, see if you qualify, you can get information. Some people did not have access to that. That is something that, you know, definitely is helpful, but some people had to navigate that on their own, or, you know, do the work, reach out. And so you guys are making it easy, right at the tip of your fingers. You know, you can just go there and get the information. So thank you for making the process a little easier for our listeners and for all of our future home buyers.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
we want to be helpful throughout this full journey, and we're proud to partner with you in this endeavor. And I look forward to continued
Yes.
opportunities to share some educational opportunities in this business. So thank you.
And you know, we're going to keep the conversation going.
We
It's
have
all
to.
about
We need
home
to-
buying.
We could be at the kitchen table
Yes.
having this conversation, right? That's where we do this. But
Where
this
we
is
pay
good.
our mortgage.
That's
Okay.
right.
Chuck
right.
Bishop, thank you so much. And we look forward to speaking with you again.
Vic, thank you. Have an amazing day.
You too.